Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jerry with Dub Bears Talk, and today I'm going to go over everything you need to know about our new interim offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown. Now, Thomas Brown has a super interesting history, and honestly, it's a lot more detailed. Obviously, you could just read everything on the screen and kind of get a gist of what I'm going to talk about, but stay tuned. I've got plenty of details talking about his coaching path and what we can learn about him, and some fun facts as well, as always. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to have a lot more Bears content coming out with the emergence of all the shit that, the coaching staff, hopefully more getting fired. We'll have to see on that, and just the whole situation. So let's get into Thomas Brown. Started off as a former player, went to Georgia from 04 to 07, was actually a pretty good running back. Has some cool highlight tapes, some kick returns, so check that out. But then obviously does make it to the NFL, stays in Georgia and goes to Atlanta. Then he ends up in Cleveland for 2 years. Then he just gets out of the NFL, probably determined it wasn't for him, and then he moves right into coaching, goes right back. Loved Georgia football, so he goes right back, and you can see there he's a strength and conditioning coach. Then he moves on to Chattanooga for a year, Marshall. Then he goes into Wisconsin, where is the start of kind of some notable players. There's a lot of notable players that he actually coaches throughout his college career, and then obviously some crucial moments in the NFL, but we'll go over that. So anyway, starting with Wisconsin, he was the coach when Melvin Gordon had his almost 2,600 yard, 29 touchdown season, his biggest season. Then obviously he ends up in the NFL. Goes to Georgia, where he's there for Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, and their great time at Georgia. That's 2015, obviously. Then he goes to Miami, where he coaches Gus Edwards for a year, had a pretty decent year with Gus Edwards. And then also in the same room, and I found this really interesting too, obviously the Bears have retained Travis Homer on the team for these past few years, and kind of been like, I don't know, a receiving back kind of gadget. I've seen him on special teams and stuff too, probably a good special teamer. But Thomas Brown actually coached Travis Homer all 3 years at Miami from 2016 to 2018. As well as DJ Dallas was there. Then he goes on to be a running back coach and offensive coordinator at South Carolina. And the only person he really coached of any significance is Rico Dowdle, who is currently doing okay for the Cowboys. But then you move on to the Rams. And this is where it got really interesting for me, is because on the Rams, this whole time, I didn't put the tags up there, but he was the strength and conditioning coach 2011 for Georgia. The entire time he's a running back coach for all those teams, always a running back coach, gets hired on in 2020 as a running backs coach. Then in 2021, you can see there he gets promoted to assistant head coach after only one season. I put the little note right above me there, but he gets promoted after only one season to assistant head coach by Sean McVay, who is, for being a younger head coach, one of the, I feel like, more well-renowned, popular, not necessarily top tier head coach, but towards the top for sure, automatically gets promoted to assistant head coach. First year ever coaching in the NFL. So he's running back coach and assistant head coach. The following year in 2022, he actually gets moved to tight end coach and assistant head coach, so not really sure on the significance there. But in 2021, as the assistant head coach, he gets a Super Bowl ring with the Rams. So obviously a part of it, not to say that, he had a huge influence, but he's been a part of a winning team that's able to, is able to produce through the playoffs, see what that looks like. So he's seen the highs. Then obviously he goes to the Carolina Panthers, where he sees the lows, where he actually, if you look at the games that he coached, well, obviously he was an offensive coordinator for the whole season, but he called plays from, I think it was weeks 11 through 13 and then 16 through 18. And unfortunately on the Panthers, he had some of the worst production that you could probably have. But despite that, he was ranked in success rate and a bunch of different metrics. It was like the highest metric he was ranked in was like 28th. Everything is 28th, 29th, 30th. We don't need to go into the details because honestly, that Panthers roster was absolute dog shit. You can't expect much from it. But that ends up being kind of a downside because we don't really have any positive play calling experience or honestly positive offensive experience other than the run game out of Thomas Brown. And when you need to develop a quarterback, going to a guy that hasn't done any of that is definitely a sketchy situation. But despite all of the failure in 2021, per the NFLPA, he was voted the number 2 OC in 2023 of all the offensive coordinators. So I don't know if there was something they saw that they did despite, all the problems there, but not really a great experience for him there. And then going into the pros and cons of what we've learned about Thomas Brown so far is he's a football guy. You look, as soon as he wasn't having success in the NFL, I'm going right back to Georgia. He has been all football. Look at the whole timeline since 2004. He's only 38 years old. Always been all about football. There's a want and a desire there. I've also heard that he's aggressive. There's been people around the NFL that have said even at sometimes he's a little too people have said too hard on your players. Now, can you really be too hard on a football player? I don't know. But to me, with people making the comments about Eberflus having a lack of leadership and probably not being stern enough in certain scenarios, we have a situation where if Thomas Brown is able to embrace this interim offensive coordinator role and be that more stern, we're going to hear from him tomorrow too, which I'm very anxious to hear tomorrow, Wednesday, the 13th. We get to hear him in a press conference, and I'd love to hear him in a press conference because I think about guys like Eberflus and Waldron, and the press conferences are always so boring, and they're very dry, like typical coach. And that's how most coaches are. So that's how it is, but it is refreshing to see something different. So if he goes in there and he, I just want to see some passion and some care about the game. So we'll have to see, but it sounds like from what players have said around the league, that will be the case. We'll have to see. And then that just kind of leads into that he's been well respected around the league, obviously being voted number 2 OC in the NFLPA. And then just from former players, there's been a lot of remarks about, just good. And he coaches hard, which is something that I think the Bears really need right now. Now, if you get to the cons honestly to me aren't that bad. There's little play calling experience, which obviously we just have the 6 weeks last year, and it was for, potentially right now one of the worst organizations in football, unless he's on that organization right now. And then the offense right now, and that's what I'm kind of getting to here, is the offense on the Bears has been absolute dog shit. So you have to think about, well, what could he possibly do? He's already been here. Like if he was going to make this amazing breakthrough to change the team, you'd think he would have already been able to do it. Now there is the whole deal with, when a coach gets fired mid-season, there's like a spark of the players want to play for a guy. And this happened with Antonio Pierce when they got a win. And then obviously Coach Rizzi of the Saints, special teams coordinator, he came in. Those are head coaches, so different than just an offensive coordinator. So that's why I don't see this being like this massive change, like, oh, he was just the passing game coordinator and now he's the offensive coordinator. He's going to come in here and like, he's not going to change shit, I don't think. I hope, if he's going to be more stern, that'd be great news. But I think just because this is a little move, I'm not expecting as much as where I'm kind of getting that. But like I said, the offense has been absolute dog shit regardless. And I feel like there isn't a large enough stride that could be made with from somebody that's already in the room, but I could be wrong. And then also just a weird path in the NFL, especially I'm guessing this guy is the most qualified that we have because that's the decision that they made. But it seemed very odd to me he was a running back in 2004, and literally from 2004 until 2021, he was a running back coach. So what is that? 17 years he was a running back coach. And then in 2022, they went, we need to be more tough, more stern in the tight end room. brings him over there. And then he goes to be an offensive coordinator for the Panthers, and they did not look good as far as passing the ball. So now your offensive coordinator is basically a running back coach that has seemingly proven to be a good leader on other teams and is well regarded by other players and by Sean McVay, and that's all great stuff. But I don't know if a 17-year running back coach / player is going to be the best option to develop your rookie quarterback. So that's why, you look at the potential of him being a leader, and could it be the case where the Bears look good this year and then the Bears hire a new head coach and Thomas Brown just stays at OC? I think if, everybody's going to get fired, keeping some continuity, if maybe Shane Waldron was just not operating this offense well and Thomas Brown can do it, obviously that would be a great scenario. Don't really see it happening, but it does worry me that he's been involved with, running backs for 17 years and then tight end coach for 1 year, then offensive coordinator for 1 year, and a team that could not pass the ball. And now he's here and he's going to be calling plays for it. So it makes me nervous, but at this point, it's like you do kind of want to just have a change up from Shane Waldron. So hopefully we can see what he can do. Like I said, I think my favorite thing is he's just well liked around the league, seemingly aggressive and stern, and hopefully going to want to make a change, but we'll have to see what Thomas Brown can do. So let me know what you think of Thomas Brown down below. Was it the right move to move him to offensive coordinator? And I think, sounds like Eberflus could be fired soon too. So let me know down below who you think a good interim head coach would be in the event that we need to go down that route. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching and have a great day.